Welcome back to Let's Clone. My name would be Stephen French, and today we're going to actually get what resembles a Tetris game by the end of this video. Part is going to be pretty tedious, but I've made it as easy as I can for you guys, so let's roll with that. Let's go tiny face. Yeah. Oh. So I know what's going on. The main thing that we need to adjust right now is going to be our shape. And real quick, to any of you guys out there, I don't know if you have the same problem that I have with GameMaker. My sprites don't show up until I actually open up the sprite. I close it, and then bam, it appears. So I gotta start the day by opening all of these just so I can see that, or it's really fucking annoying. Regardless, come down to our create event, and we need to add two things. First we're gonna add is a shadow sprite variable, which we're just gonna set equal to the sprite index for now. Well, actually, we can leave it like that because that's gonna be altered when we create a new sprite, so it doesn't really matter what that is, but doing that as a sprite index for now will be sufficient. And an index is equal to 0. These are both going to be spawn variables, I guess. Spawn aesthetics. I don't really know what to call that, but they're there. We got them. Come down into our stepping event, and we're going to fix our horizontal collision. Pretty simple. I don't know why I didn't do this one originally. We're setting move H to whatever direction, 32 pixels, but we're going to do it if place does not, actually we do want to do it if place meeting. If place meeting at x plus move horizontal, y with object border. Then we are going to set move H equal to 0. And then we're going to apply, apply movement. I'm going to move the mic. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. In our step event, we are going to include our rotation key. We already have in our script player input, we have a key up, which is what we're going to be using for rotation. So if key up is true, image index plus plus, then yeah, that's, let me just verify, yeah, that is all that we need there. We can get rid of this. I meant to delete that in the last episode. We don't need any more because now we have protection against hitting the borders on left and right, and we're already kind of adding to the grid and getting rid of the shape when we get to the bottom. So there's no more potential to go outside of the room, so we're good with that. But we are going to do a draw event, and we're going to do I'll do lower, potential landing position. It's not like potential that will be the landing position, but whatever. What we always need to do first, I guess, with the desired effect, is we got to draw self. If you create a draw event and you don't include draw self, then it'll only draw what you tell it to, and it will actually ignore drawing the main sprite. That'd be pretty dumb here. We just see where we land and not where we're coming from. Just draw self. Then we're going to make an iterative loop where we're going to start from where we are, and we're going to keep looping down until we hit something, be it a border or a block. And then we're going to draw a sprite at whatever that vertical iteration is. So start that off with a variable. I like to start with an underscore unless it's something in particular, but we're going to call it y shift. It's equal to 0. I do young believe. Whoa, yeah, we're good. I just read in the entirely wrong spot. We're going to do this inside of a while not loop. So while not place meeting, meaning once we hit something, we're not going to run this anymore. At x, y, god damn, Steven, plus y shift, multiplied by our cell size, object border. Do I need? I don't. We are going to do y shift plus plus. So every loop, every chance that we don't hit something underneath us, we're going to increase y by 1. And then we're going to draw our sprite. Draw sprite. We're going to draw our shadow sprite. We're going to give it our similar image index and then we're going to give it the X and the Y plus, put this in parenthesis because we need to do the Y shift times cell. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Y shift -1, multiply that by our cell size. Let's try that out. Let's see what happens. So right now we only have the square. Hitting up isn't going to rotate it because there's only one image index, but it's also a square, so like we wouldn't rotate. And we're drawing the sprite at the bottom of where it would be. Now, one thing you can do if you don't want to have an actual sprite, and this is something I considered, it just wasn't quite as fun. Come down, you can do draw sprite extended, which is going to give you a little bit more functionality. So after, so some image x, y, then from here we would do our x scale is 1, y scale is 1, rotation is 0, color is C white, and our alpha, you can change it to 0.5. Now, what that would do is just it would draw whatever sprite we have at the bottom at half alpha. So for right now, until we throw in the rest of the pieces, this should look fine. See? Now it at least looks a little bit more like, I don't know, a little more playable. It's not as confusing. We still don't do anything there, but we can't go too far left. We can't go too far right. Hi, Key Cat. We're moving along. Just hanging out, just having fun. We're number 1. Cool. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're gonna save that. Now let's open up our controller block, go into our step event, and right here where we create our shape, we can get rid of this, and we can do a spawn shape. And we're gonna get rid of this instance create because we're gonna run a script that we're about to make. So script spatch shape spawn shape. Oh my golly. Script spawn shape. Grab onto that. Go into our scripts. Create one. Give it there. Give it a title. Now, this is the part that's going to be tedious. Let me just make sure that that was correct. Good. We're actually going to come back to this in another part because we'll find that out in the next part. But for right now, we're just going to create a shape in the moment, and we're going to assign it its shadow, and then we're going to move on from there. We don't have any shadows yet. We'll get there. So we're going to do variable shape is equal to instance create at, and keep in mind this is being run in the controller object, so it's being spawned right on top of the controller as we did before. Object shape. So we're creating a shape. With said shape, we need to do, we need to do some things. We need to do index is equal to, and this is going to actually choose what image we have. So choose, and we will have, we got to add all the sprites before we do that. We're going to just do choose 0 for right now. What we are going to have is choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that's how many shapes are going to be in this game. But I don't know if that's going to pull a wacky error. So right now, choose 0. Or we could just set it to 0, but you get it. So then switch statement. Switch at our index. Now, switch statements are fabulous. If you don't know what a switch statement is, switch is how we can run pretty much nested if statements in a much cleaner way. So you do switch, and then you pass a variable that we're going to be comparing, like if this is this, what are we going to do? We're going to do case 0 followed by a colon, and that's going to only run true if that's true, or if index is equal to 0. And then we're going to end it with a break line. So in this, we got to just do, I believe, 2 things. Yes. So we need to set sprite index is equal to sprite square, sprite shape square, and we're going to do sprite. No. And this is all with shape. Keep in mind. So we're handling the variables that are there. So we have access to shadow index. Is that what I called it? Shadow sprite. My bad. Is equal to, and we don't yet have an actual shadow for it. So shape shadow square, just for a second, but let's go down here to do sprite shadow square, but we got to create this. Now, there's going to be a fuck ton of these. So I'm going to create a group for shapes just so we can collapse it, and I don't know, I like to do that. So in here, we're going to insert a sprite, I don't want to load it. We're going to sprite shadow square. Edit. This can be a 64 by 64, but that doesn't matter. For file, we're going to add from a strip. Now you're going to find in the assets folder that I've provided, I'm going to have an extra folder called shapes. What I've done is I've put together little sprite sheets of all of the shapes we have with all of the shadows that tie with them. For the square, we only have this and this. Now we are already using that. It's already in your game, so we can ignore it. We just need one number of images and one image per row because, well, that's all we really have. 64 by 64, but as you can see, there's a white, did I make small face? I did. How to fucking suck. There's a white ring around this. Now, if we were to import it, we would only grab that sprite. So we're going to cell offset by 1. That'll move us over here. Now we're just grabbing exactly what we want. But we need to make sure for all of these, and this is going to be the most tedious part, that whatever our origin point is for the shape, we need the same origin for the shadow. And it's not always going to be centered because some of the pieces will have a block that's centered in the image, and it's not going to line up with all the cells that we have for the game. So pay some attention when I go through this. It sucks, it's tedious, I'm sorry, but it's the only way to make that really work. Now, this is red. We have a shadow sprite. So when we create a shape, or rather when our controller, when there is no shape on the board, it's going to run script spawn shape, which if you don't know, middle clicking your mouse will bring up the code even if it's not open already. We're creating a temporary variable that is the shape that we are creating, the new one. We're creating a shape. With that shape, we are then going to choose a random index for what type of shape it's going to be. We're going to run a switch statement assigning it to the correct sprite index and the correct shadow. Later, we're going to use that same index character. Actually, we could even use that now, I do believe. When we come into our add to grid, we create here a block. So come into script, add to grid, add a variable. I'm just going to call it instance. We'll call it block. Block is equal to instance create. We're going to drop down 1, and then I think it would be his image index, would it not? Block.image index is equal to the shape's index. I think that would just be object shape. There should only be one in the game dot index. I'm almost certain that that's right. I forgot to include that in my notes of what we'd be going over, but we've created an object block. If you recall that our object block is made up of a bunch of images, we want to name all of these correctly. Like we're going to do this one, and then I think the first L shape is image 1. If you get it wrong and your shadow is of the wrong color, or like when it drops down it turns in the wrong color, it's just going to be because the either your order in how you created it or the order that these are is off. So if it's incorrect, you can just use these arrows to shift them around until it is correct. Might want to jot it down on a piece of paper when we get to that point. But we're just calling the index variable that we've created inside of the shape object, and we're going to set the image index to that. Cool. Now let's play. We should have a square with its proper shadow. When it gets down to the bottom of the frame, it should break into the proper color, which is going to be 4. Bang. And there it is. And now I think the only thing we have left to do is the tedious bit. And it's not fun. I'm sorry. It's not going to be fun. It's just going to be a little bit tedious. So sprite shape, we're going to do the L1 first, if I am correct in my memory. We're going to create from a strip, L1, open up. Now these are they're all in squares and they fill the board entirely. So you need to make sure that you grab everything that's available. So right here we're going to have 4 images, and there needs to be 4 of them in a row. Now it's not 64 by 64 like our square was. These are now 96 by 96. So change that, change that. We don't want any offset because we don't want to skip this first cell. And you can tell right here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes all highlighted. 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. Now, if you were to look at this, it's rotating clockwise. Banging. So we have shape L, not centered. I think we want it here, if I recall. Fuck, man, I should have wrote this part down. If any of these are wrong, there will be, I'll put like little pop-up text up in this space, and then I'll try to do a little reminder at the end because I don't feel like checking now. But I guess another way to do this is you could duplicate this object, name it shadow, and then change the opacity. Again, if you wanted to do it there. I like the look of the shadows that I've made, so we're just going to stick with them. But we have sprite shadow for L1. We are going to edit, file, create from a strip. We're going to use that same file place. But now we just need a vertical pixel, not pixel, I'm sorry, a vertical cell offset of 1. And you can tell these are all in the same orientation. So we grab these. What? Manila. Create from strip. This guy. 4, 4. Oh, somehow I smacked a 4 in there. Good. And then we have all of them at the same. This is the part that's even more particular, that it has to be in the exactly same location. For this one, I'm going to test out 32, 32. You will already know by now if I fuck that up. Let's go to sprite. Shape L2, I believe, is next on board. Edit, file, create from sprite L2. I want to set that back to 0 because it's the shape and not the shadow. We're going to do the same 32, 32 there. I need yet another sprite shadow L2. Edit, file, create. I could just do, is that Control I? Is that? Didn't pay attention. Vertical offset of 1. Again, just make sure that you've got squares where we want them. Setting this guy to 32 by 32. Oh, motherfucker. Take your modifying mask, and we need to change them all to precision. I apologize. I forgot. With actually, with the shadow, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do it with the shadows, just because I can't promise that it doesn't matter, but I'm almost positive that it doesn't matter. Because I don't think we're ever checking for any collision with it. But these can be full because the image is full. It doesn't make a difference for that. So for all of these, I'll try to put a note earlier when I started those. You got to do it. Let me see. If we go to our block, edit, it goes blue, green, red, cyan, I guess I'd call that. So we're gonna, I'll name it after because I don't remember which shape was that. Create from a file, fuck you. Create from a strip. Cyan would be our straight piece. So open up. This one is even of a different size. This is 3264, 128. Oh, not 12. Come on, guy. 128. 128. There's only 2, which I guess that doesn't make a difference. It would have just made the line across. Get rid of that because we only want the top one first. And blammo, we've got... Where do I want that to rotate from? I think we're going to do it here, and then we're going to keep it there when it rotates. That might be right. But sprite, shape, stir for straight. It doesn't really make a difference. But we're going to do a Y of 32. We're going to do a 64. So right in that middle. Click this. It's still there. Perfect. Modify, precise. And if you go through it, the precise collision will change per image index. So that is golden. That is just for the shape. Now we need to do the same thing for the shadow. Sprite shadow straight. Edit. File. Create from a strip. Open that guy up. Vertical cell offset of Juan. Okay. Modify mask. Precise. Over 64 down 32. Now we've only got a couple more, so it is moving along. I think the T is next. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the T. Wait, oh, fuck it, I shouldn't. Edit. We have yellow. I guess that's technically orange. So I don't know which one's yellow. I don't remember anymore. So edit, file, add from a strip. Is this orange? Is this yellow? This is yellow. I'm gonna say that the T is next. The T, they are in, I guess, 3264. What's 64? What? Why can't I do 32, 64, 96? Fuck. 96 by 96 is the width and the height. We want the top one, and this time we have 4. Oh, why didn't that work? 4. So 4 cells, 4 boxes going across the top, all at 96, 96. Banging. Here we go. I'm going to put the origin at 32, 32. We're going to see how that turns out for us. Again, precise model. Done. Oh, I only called it sprite. Shape T. Chapeau. Sprite shape T. Actually, I had messed up that in my original game. It took me a long time to find the error. Up in here, sprite shadow T. Same damn thing. We only got 2 more after this. Change that young vertical by 1. Yet again, precise collision. 3232. Bingo, bango, zingo, zango. Sprite. Fuck. S. Oh, I guess S for shape. Showy. Shape. S. I'm hoping that that's correct. Is it the S? The Z is pink. Fuck. Alright, so we got to change that to a Z. We've only got 2 images for both of these. These are these are 96, 96. Get rid of the vertical offset. So we got 2 bones. We're gonna go 32, 32 as well. Let's just change this to a Z. So it, I guess, makes more sense. Precise, bang, 32, 32. Let's collect the shadow for that guy. Sprite, shadow, Z. Edit, file, create from a strip. This same one. Now we want to throw that vertical offset back in there. We need to go 32, 32, modify, precise. Now this should be pretty rewarding because after we do all this lazy shit, well not lazy, all this tedious shit, we shouldn't have to do anything else. Sprite, shape, this time, oh my god. Oh my god. Shape with an E, S, edit, file, create from a strip, find our S, get that back to the top, bangin'. Yet again, 32, 32, modify, precise, last one, sprite, shadow, S, edit, file, create from a strip, grab that guy, set that back to the bottom, okay, ticket, precise collisions, 32, 32. Oh, I did lie. There's one more thing we have to do. When we came in here, we made that spawn. Fuck, there's a few things we got to do. Oh, I'm so sorry. We just got more tedious shit ahead of us. So we have to choose from 1, or from 0, but now we need to choose from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, because there are 7 shapes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shapes. Now we can do some copy paste to kind of speed up our time here. Never a good practice, but it's always a practice that I choose. That's for 0, 1, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to number them first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They obviously can't all be squares. So we have this shape, the L1. I made them in the correct order here, so I did that on purpose so I could do this part easier, other than I forgot about it when I was talking about it. Left 1, we've got left 2. We've got left 2. We've got, is that the straight one? Yeah, straight. We've got straight. We have a T. We've got a T. We've got a Z. That's an A. Exact opposite end of the alphabet. And then lastly, we've got an S. Now we might be done. Room's main background. I want just a darker gray. All right. That bird goes down. That bird goes down. We have most of the pieces. We have most of the pieces up. Got most pieces up. I think all we've missed so far is the green L. Come on, give me a green L. I want to see them all. Come on. Dude. Where could it be? Come on. Got it. That's all the pieces. And as I said, it looks a lot like a Tetris. Let's go back over to Big Face. All right, and that's going to be it for part 3. Just a little bit of tedious work that had to be done. And the next part, we're going to start calculating the completed rows, giving ourselves some points for that. And I think there would only be one more part. I think part 5 is just going to be polish, adding in the background, adding in the music, and all that, just like clean up stuffs. I think we're good. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something from this. And yeah, keep an eye out when the next part comes up. Should be in a day or two. Thank you. Enjoy that fucking day.